Hey everyone, welcome back. 6 ways a woman greets you when she really likes you. Stoicism. Have you ever wondered why some women light up when they see you, while others barely acknowledge your presence? Today I'm going to reveal the 6 unmistakable ways a woman greets you when she's genuinely interested, and how ancient Stoic wisdom can help you recognize and respond to these signals with confidence and wisdom. But here's the thing. Most men completely miss these subtle signs. Or worse, they misinterpret friendly behavior as romantic interest. By the end of this video, you'll have the clarity of Marcus Aurelius and the observational skills to read any greeting like an open book. And if you stay until the end, I'll share the one Stoic principle that will transform how you approach every interaction with women, regardless of their interest level. Welcome back to Channel Name, where we explore timeless wisdom for modern challenges. I'm your Name, and if you're new here, we dive deep into how ancient philosophy, particularly Stoicism, can help you navigate today's complex social and romantic landscape. Now, before we begin, let me be clear about something. This isn't about manipulation or pickup artistry. The Stoic philosophers taught us to observe reality clearly, understand human nature, and respond with wisdom and virtue. That's exactly what we're doing today. The ancient Stoics believed that understanding human behavior was essential for living a good life. As Epictetus said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Today, we're going to learn how to truly listen to the language of greetings. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We publish new content every Tuesday and Friday, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next week. It's going to change how you view confidence forever. Chapter 1. The Foundation. Why Greetings Matter. Let's start with a fundamental truth that the Stoics understood deeply. First impressions are formed in milliseconds, and greetings are the gateway to all human connection. Think about it. Every relationship, from friendship to romance to business partnerships, begins with that first moment of acknowledgement. The greeting is where interest, disinterest, attraction, and compatibility all reveal themselves in subtle but unmistakable ways. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This applies perfectly to understanding greetings. It's not about what you hope to see. It's about clearly observing what's actually there. Let me tell you about my friend Marcus. Yes, named after the emperor. Marcus used to be the guy who would read way too much into every smile, every hello, every casual interaction. He'd convince himself that the barista, who said good morning, with enthusiasm, was interested in him, romantically. Sound familiar? The problem wasn't that Marcus was hopeful. Hope is a virtue. The problem was that he wasn't practicing what Seneca called preferred indifferent, the ability to observe without attachment to outcome. After studying Stoic principles and learning to read genuine signals, Marcus developed what I call Stoic clarity, the ability to see situations as they truly are, not as we wish them to be. This changed everything for him. He stopped wasting emotional energy on misread signals and started recognizing genuine interest when it actually appeared. More importantly, he became more attractive because he was no longer needy or desperate. He was centered and confident. Now, here's where it gets interesting. There are 6 specific ways women greet men when they're genuinely interested, and each one reveals something different about her personality and the level of her interest. The first one might surprise you. Chapter 2, Greeting 1, the lingering eye contact. The first greeting that signals genuine interest is what I call the lingering eye contact. And it's rooted in something the Stoics called prosos, paying attention. Here's what this looks like. When she sees you, her eyes don't just acknowledge your presence and move on. Instead, there's a moment, usually lasting 2-3 seconds longer than normal social convention, where she holds your gaze with a soft, almost studying expression. But here's the Stoic insight that most men miss. This isn't just about the duration of eye contact. It's about the quality. Epictetus taught that we should pay attention to not just what happens, but how it happens. In the lingering eye contact greeting, you'll notice several specific elements. First, her pupils might dilate slightly. This is involuntary and indicates genuine interest or excitement. Second, there's often a subtle softening around her eyes, what psychologists call Duchenne markers, the kind of genuine expression that can't be faked. Third, and this is crucial, she doesn't break eye contact first. She lets you decide when to look away, which is a subconscious signal of trust and interest. I remember coaching a client named David who completely missed this signal for months. There was a woman at his gym who would greet him with this exact pattern, the lingering eye contact, the soft expression, waiting for him to break the gaze first. David kept thinking, she's just being polite. But when we analyzed it through a Stoic lens, observing the facts without emotional interpretation, it became clear that her behavior was distinctly different from how she greeted other men. The breakthrough came when David applied what Marcus Aurelius called the discipline of desire. He stopped needing her to be interested and simply observed what was actually happening. Once he did that, he could see the signal clearly. So how should you respond to the lingering eye contact greeting? The Stoic approach is simple. Mirror the energy without being overwhelming. Maintain the eye contact calmly and confidently. Let a slight smile reach your eyes, not a big grin, but what Seneca would call serene acknowledgement. Then, when you do break the contact, do it gradually, not abruptly. Remember, Stoicism teaches us to control what we can control. You can control your response, your presence, and your clarity of observation. You cannot control her feelings or decisions, and accepting this paradoxically makes you more attractive. But eye contact is just the beginning. The second greeting signal goes beyond visual cues and involves something that reveals even more about her interest level. Chapter 3. Greeting 2. The Physical Orientation Shift. The second greeting that reveals genuine interest is what I call the physical orientation shift. And it's based on a principle that the Stoics understood deeply. The body reveals what the mind feels. Here's what happens. When she greets you, her entire body subtly turns toward you, even if you're not directly in front of her. This isn't just polite acknowledgement. This is what psychologists call proxemic interest. Seneca wrote about the connection between inner state and outer expression. Modern psychology confirms what he intuited. When we're genuinely interested in someone, our body naturally orients toward them like a compass needle finding magnetic north. In the physical orientation shift, you'll notice she doesn't just turn her head to greet you. Her shoulders, torso, and often her feet all angle in your direction. This happens even in group settings, where it would be more natural to face the center of the group. Here's what to look for specifically. Her shoulders will square toward you, even if she has to twist slightly from her original position. Her feet, which are the most honest part of body language, will point in your direction. If she's sitting, she might shift her entire posture to face you more directly. But here's the key Stoic insight. This has to be immediate and involuntary. If she has to think about it or adjust after a moment, it's likely just good manners. Genuine interest creates an immediate physical response. Let me share a story about a client named James. He'd been chatting with a woman named Sarah at his local coffee shop for weeks. She was always friendly, always smiled, but James couldn't tell if she was just being nice or if there was genuine interest. Then one day, James started paying attention through what Marcus Aurelius called the discipline of perception, observing without judgment or expectation. He noticed that every time he approached, Sarah would physically turn her entire body toward him, even when she was in the middle of conversations with other people. More telling, when other customers approached her, she would turn only her head to acknowledge them, keeping her body oriented toward whatever she was doing. But with James, it was a full-body reorientation every single time. This was the moment James realized the difference between polite social interaction and genuine interest. The Stoics taught that truth reveals itself to those who observe without attachment to outcome. And that's exactly what happened here. Most men make one of two mistakes with this signal. Either they don't notice it at all because they're too focused on what to say next, or they notice it and immediately assume it means more than it does. The Stoic approach is different. You observe the signal, you acknowledge it internally, but you don't let it change your fundamental state of being. You remain centered and confident whether the signal is there or not. When you do notice the physical orientation shift, the best response is to mirror it naturally. Turn your body toward her as well, but don't make it dramatic or obvious. Let it be a natural response to natural interest. This greeting reveals something important about her personality. A woman who gives you the physical orientation shift is typically someone who acts on her feelings. She's not playing games or being coy. When she's interested, her body language reflects that, honestly. The Stoics valued this kind of authenticity. Epictetus taught that we should appreciate people who express themselves genuinely, whether that expression is positive or negative toward us. But body language is just one layer. The third greeting signal involves something even more revealing. The way she uses her voice when she sees you. Chapter 4, Greeting 3, the vocal transformation. The third greeting that signals genuine interest is the vocal transformation, and it's rooted in something the Stoics called sympatheia. The idea that our inner state naturally affects our outer expression. Here's what happens. When she greets you, her voice undergoes subtle but unmistakable changes. It might become slightly softer, slightly higher, or take on what vocal coaches call intimate tonality. But here's what makes this a Stoic insight rather than just pickup advice. These vocal changes are involuntary. They happen because genuine attraction creates physiological responses that we cannot consciously control. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of understanding natural laws. Modern science has discovered that when women are attracted to someone, hormonal changes actually affect their vocal cords. The voice becomes more melodious, more varied in pitch, and often includes what researchers call vocal mirroring. In the vocal transformation greeting, pay attention to these specific elements. First, her greeting might start in her normal voice, but soften or become more melodic as she continues speaking. Second, she might unconsciously match your vocal pace and rhythm. If you speak slowly and deliberately, she'll often do the same. If you're more energetic, her voice will pick up that energy. Third, there's often what I call vocal lingering. Instead of a quick hi and moving on, her greeting extends naturally into a mini conversation, even if there's no logical reason for it. I had a client named Michael who worked in a corporate environment. There was a colleague, Lisa, who he interacted with regularly, but he couldn't read her interest level. She was always professional, always appropriate, but something felt different about their interactions. When Michael started applying Stoic observation principles, paying attention without emotional investment in the outcome, he noticed something fascinating about Lisa's vocal patterns. With everyone else in the office, Lisa maintained what you might call professional voice. Clear, efficient, to the point. But when she greeted Michael, even with something as simple as "good morning," her voice would soften noticeably. She'd often add unnecessary words like, "How are you doing today?" in a tone that was distinctly warmer than her interactions with others. The breakthrough came when Michael realized this wasn't just friendliness, it was consistent, involuntary vocal transformation that happened only with him. Epictetus taught that we should pay attention to what people do, not just what they say. The vocal transformation is particularly valuable because it's extremely difficult to fake convincingly over time. A woman can consciously decide to smile more or make more eye contact, but vocal transformation happens at a physiological level. It's what the Stoics would call a natural indicator, something that reveals true inner state. The Stoic response to vocal transformation is elegant in its simplicity. Match the energy without overwhelming it. If her voice becomes softer, don't immediately assume this means you should become more intimate or personal. Instead, allow your own voice to reflect the same level of warmth and engagement. If she extends the greeting into conversation, participate genuinely but without desperation. Remember Marcus Aurelius's teaching. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In social terms, the best response to interest is not to become needy, but to remain centered and engaging. Here's an advanced insight that most men miss. The vocal transformation often includes what linguists call prosodic mirroring. She'll unconsciously match not just your pace, but your rhythm and even your regional accent markers. This happens because genuine interest creates a subconscious desire for connection and similarity. It's not calculated. It's natural human bonding behavior that the Stoics understood intuitively. However, be aware of the difference between vocal transformation and vocal performance. Some people are naturally theatrical or expressive with everyone. The key is consistency and specificity. Does this vocal change happen specifically with you? And does it happen consistently? Voice reveals inner state. But the fourth greeting signal goes even deeper. It involves something that shows not just interest, but the type of person she is. Chapter 5. Greeting 4. The memory integration. The fourth greeting that reveals genuine interest is what I call memory integration, and it demonstrates something the Stoics valued above almost everything else: genuine attention and care for others. Here's what this looks like. When she greets you, she doesn't just say hello. She references something from your previous conversation, asks about something you mentioned, or shows that she's been thinking about your interaction even when you weren't around. This is profound because it shows what Seneca called active friendship, the quality of keeping someone in your thoughts even in their absence. Most of the other greeting signals we've discussed are somewhat involuntary: eye contact, body language, vocal changes. But memory integration requires conscious effort and genuine interest. For a woman to remember details from your conversations and bring them up in subsequent greetings means you've occupied mental space in her life. This is significant because, as Marcus Aurelius noted, what we think about expands in our experience. Here's what memory integration looks like in practice. Instead of just saying hi, she might say, "Hey, how did that presentation go?" referencing something you mentioned days or weeks earlier. She might ask about your weekend plans that you casually mentioned, or remember that you were dealing with a particular challenge and check in about it. Sometimes it's smaller, but equally telling. She might remember how you like your coffee, or bring up a book or movie you mentioned in passing. Let me tell you about a client named Robert who experienced this firsthand. Robert was naturally skeptical about dating advice because he'd been burned by misreading signals before. He valued the Stoic principle of clear observation over wishful thinking. Robert had been having casual conversations with a woman named Elena at his local bookstore. Their interactions were always pleasant, but Robert couldn't tell if Elena was just being professionally friendly or if there was genuine interest. The turning point came when Robert walked into the bookstore after being away for 2 weeks. Elena's greeting wasn't just "welcome back." Instead, she said, "Hey, how was your trip to Portland? Did you find those hiking trails you were looking for?" Robert was stunned. This was a detail from a casual conversation they'd had over a month earlier. Elena had not only remembered the trip, but had held on to specific details about what he was planning to do there. From a Stoic perspective, memory integration reveals several important things about a person's character and level of interest. First, it shows what Epictetus called prosoche, paying attention. Someone who remembers details about your life is someone who was fully present during your conversations. Second, it demonstrates what the Stoics called sympathia, the interconnectedness of human experience. When someone holds space for your experiences in their memory, they're creating a bond that goes beyond casual interaction. Third, it reveals priority. In our busy, distracted world, remembering details about someone's life is an act of choosing to prioritize that person's importance. Here's a crucial distinction. Genuine memory integration feels natural and conversational, not like someone reading from notes. Authentic memory integration flows naturally into conversation. It doesn't feel forced or like she's trying to prove something. It's simply the natural result of someone who was genuinely interested in what you shared. Calculated memory integration, on the other hand, often feels slightly off, too detailed, too perfect, or brought up in a way that seems designed to impress rather than connect. When you experience memory integration in a greeting, the Stoic response is gratitude and reciprocation, but without desperation. Acknowledge that she remembered, express appreciation, and then naturally continue the conversation. Don't make a big deal about the fact that she remembered. Just engage with the topic she brought up. More importantly, start practicing memory integration yourself. The Stoics believed in treating others as we would like to be treated. If you value being remembered and thought about, extend that same courtesy to others. Memory integration in greetings reveals something beautiful about human nature that the Stoics understood deeply. We naturally hold space in our minds for people who matter to us. When a woman consistently greets you with memory integration, she's revealing that you occupy a meaningful place in her mental landscape. This is perhaps the most reliable indicator of genuine interest because it requires ongoing mental and emotional investment. But even memory integration can sometimes be attributed to exceptional social skills or professional training. The fifth greeting signal, however, reveals something that cannot be easily explained away. Chapter 6, Greeting 5, the Proximity Breach. The fifth greeting that signals genuine interest is what I call the proximity breach, and it's based on a fundamental human behavior that the Stoics understood through their study of natural law. Here's what happens. When she greets you, she unconsciously moves closer than social convention requires. Not uncomfortably close, but distinctly closer than she positions herself with others. This matters because personal space, what psychologists call proxemics, is largely involuntary. We naturally maintain greater distance from people. We're neutral about and reduce distance with people we're drawn to. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about natural laws, the patterns that govern human behavior regardless of culture or conscious intention. Proximity preferences are one of these universal laws. Across cultures, humans maintain predictable distances based on relationship and comfort level. Strangers stay about 4-6 feet apart in social situations. Friends come within 2-4 feet. People we're attracted to draw us even closer, often without conscious awareness. Here's what the proximity breach looks like in practice. During greetings, she might step closer than necessary to shake hands or hug. If you're in a group setting, she might position herself near you even when other spaces are available. She might find reasons to lean in during conversation, to hear better, to share something quietly, or to point something out. These aren't dramatic movements, but they're consistent patterns of reducing physical distance. I once worked with a client named Thomas who was incredibly analytical. He loved the Stoic approach because it appealed to his logical mind. Thomas was interested in a woman named Rachel from his yoga class, but he couldn't tell if the interest was mutual. Thomas started applying what Epictetus called disciplined observation, watching patterns without emotional attachment to outcome. What he noticed was fascinating. In a yoga class where people typically maintain respectful distance, Rachel consistently set up her mat near Thomas's, even when there were other open spaces. During partner exercises, when she had to choose a partner from several options, she invariably chose him or maneuvered to be partnered with him. Most tellingly, during the social time after class, Rachel would stand noticeably closer to Thomas than to other people she was talking with. Not inappropriately close, but within what personal space researchers call the attraction zone. What makes the proximity breach so reliable is that it's largely unconscious. Seneca wrote about the difference between conscious actions and natural impulses. Proximity preferences fall into the category of natural impulses. They reveal our genuine feelings more accurately than our words or conscious actions. This is why the proximity breach is such a valuable signal. It's extremely difficult to fake consistently because it requires constant conscious attention to something that should be unconscious. It's important to note that proximity preferences vary by culture and individual personality. Some people are naturally more or less comfortable with close physical proximity. The key is not the absolute distance, but the relative distance. Does she stand closer to you than to others in similar situations? Does she seem comfortable reducing distance specifically with you? Here are some subtle ways the proximity breach manifests. She might sit next to you when other equally good seats are available. She might walk alongside you rather than ahead or behind when moving in a group. She might position herself to face you in group conversations, even if it means standing at an angle to others. During greetings specifically, she might step forward to close distance rather than staying in place. Or she might linger in close proximity after the initial greeting rather than immediately stepping back. The Stoic response to the proximity breach is to match the energy without overwhelming it. If she's comfortable with closer proximity, don't immediately back away or become rigid. But also don't assume this means you should become physically aggressive or presumptuous. Marcus Aurelius taught the importance of responding appropriately to situations. If someone is comfortable with your proximity, it's appropriate to be comfortable as well, while still maintaining respect and boundaries. The proximity breach often indicates someone who is physically comfortable with themselves and others. It suggests confidence and a natural approach to attraction, someone who acts on their feelings rather than overthinking them. This aligns with Stoic values of natural behavior and authentic expression. The Stoics appreciated people who acted in harmony with their true feelings rather than calculating every interaction. However, be cautious about cultural differences and individual variations. Some people are naturally more physical or come from cultures where closer proximity is normal. The key is pattern recognition. Does this behavior happen specifically with you? And is it consistent over time? Physical proximity reveals comfort and attraction, but the sixth and final greeting signal goes deeper than all the others. It reveals something about her intentions and the kind of relationship she's seeking. Chapter 7, Greeting 6, The Future Integration. The sixth and most significant greeting that reveals genuine interest is what I call future integration. And it's based on a principle that Marcus Aurelius considered essential: the difference between momentary pleasure and lasting value. Here's what future integration looks like. During or immediately after greeting you, she naturally includes you in future-oriented conversation. Not just, we should hang out sometime, but specific, realistic references to future interactions. This might sound simple, but it's actually the most sophisticated signal because it reveals not just interest, but intention. Seneca wrote that the quality of our thoughts about the future reveals our true priorities and values. When someone consistently includes you in their future-oriented thinking, they're revealing that you have a meaningful place in their life planning. Future integration during greetings might look like, I'm excited for you to try that restaurant we talked about. Or let me know how that project goes. I want to hear about it next week. Or we should definitely continue this conversation. The Stoics understood something that modern psychology has confirmed. We only make mental space for future interactions with people who add genuine value to our lives. Future integration requires mental and emotional investment. It means she's not just enjoying the current moment with you, but actively anticipating and planning for more interactions. Real future integration has several characteristics. It's specific rather than vague. Instead of maybe we can hang out, it's I want to hear how that interview goes on Thursday. It's natural rather than forced. It comes up organically in conversation rather than seeming like a calculated attempt to extend interaction. It includes logistical thinking. She might mention her schedule, suggest specific activities, or reference timing in ways that show she's actually thinking about when and how future interactions might happen. Let me share one final story that brings all these principles together. A client named David had been applying these Stoic observation techniques with a woman named Sarah from his hiking group. David had noticed several of the earlier signals: the lingering eye contact, the physical orientation shift, even some memory integration. But he wasn't sure if Sarah was just being friendly or if there was genuine romantic interest. The breakthrough came during a greeting after a particularly challenging hike. Sarah not only remembered that David had mentioned wanting to try a specific trail, memory integration, but she said, I've been researching that trail you mentioned. I think we should tackle it together next month when the weather's better. I'll send you the trail info this week. This wasn't just friendliness or even just interest. It was active planning and future integration that included specific timeline, shared activity, and follow-through commitment. When you experience consistent future integration in greetings, you're seeing someone who has decided you add value to their life and wants to continue and deepen the connection. This is what the Stoics called preferred indifferent. something genuinely good that we can appreciate without becoming attached to or dependent on. Conclusion and call to action. Let's bring this all together with the one Stoic principle I promise that will transform every interaction you have with women. That principle is this: observe clearly, respond authentically, and remain unattached to outcome. The 6 greeting signals we've discussed: lingering eye contact, physical orientation shift, vocal transformation, memory integration, proximity breach, and future integration are tools for clear observation. They help you see reality as it is, not as you wish it were. But here's the crucial insight. Recognizing these signals is not about manipulation or guarantee. It's about clarity and appropriate response. When you can clearly observe what's happening, you can respond authentically rather than from fear, desperation, or misunderstanding. And when you remain unattached to outcome, you become naturally more attractive because you're centered and confident, regardless of external validation. If this video helped you gain clarity about human behavior and attraction, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that applies ancient wisdom to modern challenges. In the comments, let me know, which of these 6 greeting signals surprised you the most? Have you experienced any of these and missed the signal? And if you want to dive deeper into Stoic principles for confidence and relationships, check out the playlist I'm linking in the description. Next week, we're exploring how Marcus Aurelius approached rejection and disappointment. Lessons that will revolutionize how you handle any social situation. Remember, the goal isn't to get everyone to like you. The goal is to clearly see who genuinely appreciates you and respond to that with wisdom and virtue. Until next time, stay observant, stay centered, and stay stoic.